This is Premium Times Election Special, live on our Facebook and YouTube platforms, Monday to Friday at 4 to 5 p.m. This is Premium Times Election Special, live on our Facebook and YouTube platforms, Monday to Friday at 4 to 5 p.m. This is Premium Times.
Hi, welcome to Premium Times Election Special. I'm Titi Lokwe Fadare. On this show, we bring to you interesting issues surrounding the 2023 general elections, from unique perspectives to fact checks, explainers, analyses, everything you need to know about the polls before, during, and after. But before we go into the main segment, I'll share with you some trending political stories making the rounds in the country. This morning, the Supreme Court resumed sitting on the Naira redesign suit. It's the court's first sitting since President Muhammadu Buhari violated the court's 8 February order for the continued use of the old 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira banknotes. A 7-member panel of the court had ordered that the 10 February deadline set for the ending of the validity of the old banknotes be suspended. Before the end of today, we'll update you on the ruling from the Supreme Court. The next political story is an interview Premium Times had with the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator Matthias Schmale, where he shared his concerns about the 2023 general elections. His concerns include violence across the country, access to cash, hate speech from political parties and their followers, and a level playing field due to allegations that those in power do not provide public institutions for opposition candidates. He said the UN office is providing INEC with technical support and meeting all the key candidates of political parties to impress on them the importance of conducting themselves in a way that will lead to a peaceful, credible, inclusive, and transparent elections. Lastly, the National Security Advisor to the President, Babagana Monguno, has warned against plots to exploit the current socio-economic situation in Nigeria to ignite civil unrest before, during, and after the general elections. Consequently, the Nigerian Army released hotlines to Nigerians to report any suspicious acts of violence by unscrupulous persons during the forthcoming general election. Visit our website www.premiumtimesedu.com to get the details of the hotlines in your state. Up next is my colleague, Mr. Ade Adesomoju, who will be having an interview with two senior advocates of Nigeria to discuss the legal ramifications of the 2023 general elections and its outcomes. Stay tuned. Hi.
This is Premium Times Election Special.
I welcome you to today's edition of Premium Times Election Special, where we analyze all issues concerning the general elections of 2023. Before we go into today's edition proper, I would like to bring you an update on the suit that came up at the Supreme Court today about the Naira redesign policy, which has generated a lot of issues in the country. As many of us will have been aware that the Supreme Court has now adjourned the judgment on the suit till March 3. That will be a week after the presidential election. So the election matter that we are dealing with today, we're going to be looking at the legal ramifications. Lucky to have today two heavyweights who will be helping heap of legal issues around the elections. And as you know, the legal issues, the laws that guide our election will determine whether we'll have free and fair, credible election, and even the outcome, how it will be how it eventually play out in court eventually. So we're having two senior advocates of Nigeria, but we are not going to have them at the same time. And we're not going to let the cat out of the bag for the second. So now we have, I have with me Mr. Chukwuma Kume, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and a former Attorney General of Imo State. Thank you and welcome, sir. Yes, you are smiling, sir. Yes. You are so confident the election will be credible and hold.
I think so, because Nigerians are yearning for it. Without credible election, we cannot get it right.
Okay.
When people use all kinds of maneuvering and fraudulently get into offices, you see what play out is what Nigeria has been going through all these years. So we can but look forward to having the best. And I think a lot of stakeholders have put in their best to see how to ensure that election.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to take you up from there, which is about the law. We know that the law is like the genetic makeup of election process.
Yes.
Without a good law, there is no good election. So the law we have will determine the outcome, the product we have at the end of the day.
And the political will.
The political will. Okay, we'll get to that. So over the last 1 year, we've seen drastic changes to our election.
Yes.
In the form of the amendment of our electoral act.
Yes.
And I mean, there are very salient provisions in the law that drastically changed our elections. Start from the primary elections, the announcement of nomination of candidates, campaigns, and the vexed issue of the application, the relevance of technology to our elections. Can you take us through the highlights of these major components and features of our legal process, the laws on our election process?
Yes, I think the Electoral Act of 2022 has made out all the controversies, all the lapses that we have been experiencing in the electoral acts that have been guiding our elections. You know, there have been this controversy of smart card reader. These have been fully taken care of. The electronic devices, the electronic voting machine, the beavers, and other electronic matters that are necessary that will guide in ensuring that the voters list and the people that really came to vote will match. Okay. So the Electoral Act of 2022 has introduced a lot of changes. You can Section 28 talks about electronic transmission, which will be determined by INEC. In that wise, once election is at the polling booths, once election is concluded, the machine transmits the results straight to INEC. Okay. So in that wise, the idea of counting votes to the ward where configuration will take place, and before you know what's happening, the result at the polling unit will not reflect at the ward. When you move to local government, changes will take place. When you move to state, changes will take place. So these have been the major obstacles. But now the results can now move straight from the polling unit, forgetting about ward level, forgetting about this, straight to the...
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. I would like us to begin this process from the start, which is primary elections. And we see that in the new laws that we have, there are new innovations in the law. For instance, we have the vexed issue of Section 8412, which bars political appointees from voting during the primary elections. We have provision that extends campaign period by about 150 days. We have provision that also talks about the period of nomination. Primary, primary, which allows primary to hold 150 days before election instead of 60 days. So let's look at the aspect of this law that have been tested. Are you satisfied that really the new provision in the law have really fulfilled, met the young aspirations of, the motivation behind putting those laws in place?
Yes, the law is developmental. The 2000 Electoral Act is a reflection of the lapses that have been noticed in the last previous acts. There is now more robust time for electioneering. So all those issues have been really taken care of and then made into this act in such a way that those things that have been a source of hindrance, that have been a sort of disturbances, controversies, happen sorted out and inculcated into the Electoral Act. So I think all those lapses you were noticing, the Electoral Act of 2022 has taken care of them.
Okay.
But remember, the issue of the act is different from the issue of the political will.
Okay.
We must have to know that people must be ready to play according to the rules. The umpire INEC must also be ready to play according to the rules as provided in the Electoral Act. So the act and the political will must meet together in order for us to have a good, free and fair election 2023.
Okay, perhaps this explains what you meant by political will. Because despite these beautiful innovations in the law, we still have a good number of pre-election cases in our court that tend to push aside all other routine cases, which are equally important. Are you concerned about the high number? Because we've heard the CJ said and the NBA president saying that the number of election pre-election cases have been too much, such that the courts probably do not even have time for other cases. Are you not concerned? Do you think it's about the flaws in the law or the political will issue that you mentioned?
I think it's a good omen. It's a good omen. First of all, it talks about the confidence we have in our judiciary. Because how do you sort out controversy? Election is a very important process in the nation building. And so when it comes once in these 2 to 4 years, there's need to thrash out issues. Everybody, all the contestants have their controversies, expectations. There's need to table these things before the court, and then the court to deal with it decisively. So the question of saying there are too many, it means there's also too many people are interested in coming to governance. So, and it is better they come to the court and let the public hear what's going on than using arms and using thuggery and using this to undermine. So the fact that Nigerians are now going to court in massive number means rule of law is coming into our electoral domain.
That's interesting because it's quite contrary to the popular view that we've had that our elections are becoming over judicialized, if I'm permitted to use that word, and it creates some sort of uncertainties among the electorate as to. So we have election, we go into election, the electorate are not really sure of who the candidate is going to be at the end of the day.
I appreciate that your language judicialized. Yes, judicialized. Yes, but you remember that the process is developmental. I said it earlier. There's a provision you did not point out that says if you did not contest the election, you can be by court as a candidate, as the person who won the election.
Okay.
Which happened the other sometimes. So when it's being judicialized, the National Assembly also becomes sit up to see if the court is going in the wrong direction, and also then make some provisions to take care of those lapses.
Okay.
Declaring a candidate that did not contest the election as a winner.
Okay.
The Electoral Act has clogged it.
Okay.
It is from experience. So the court should be saying, and when we notice that it is being unnecessarily judicialized, the National Assembly has a way to take care of that.
Aware that you've done a lot of both pre-election cases and election petitions, so I'm aware of your expertise in that area. So, but the argument that people have put forward concerning this issue that you raised is that there has been this trend of overexposure of judiciary to politics, of politicians and their tendencies, which in the long run exposed to because of the desperate conduct of our politicians.
No, I'm sorry. The Constitution said where election is conducted, there should be an election tribunal.
Okay.
The Constitution where there is pre-election controversy, there is court to take care of that. So the fact that the court is going to do its duty, the Constitution didn't say exposed to the contestants.
Okay.
If a judge is exposed to contestants, it is on his own frolic. The law didn't say he should do that. The law has made it, if you look at section 258 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, particularly the Fourth Amendment, particularly section 14 of it, it tells you about pre-election matters.
Okay.
The election has a robust provision on pre-election matters. So where will these pre-election matters be taken to? It must be taken to the courts.
Okay.
Going to the court is not the same thing as exposing the judge to bribery and corruption.
Okay.
If a judge on his own starts perverting the law and committing such a distance, I think that's a way the law has provided to take care of that.
Okay.
So the fact that our matters are going to the court has no way a maneuver for exposing the courts to corruption.
All right, thank you. So
a bad egg is a bad egg.
Okay.
Whether even if it is doing a land matter, a bad egg is a bad egg.
Okay.
Even if it's doing a divorce matter, a bad egg is a bad egg. Even if it's doing aviation matter, a bad egg is a bad egg. So we cannot, because matters are going to court, we'll start saying they should not go to court and they should go to fighting and arms.
Okay, sir. So I will take you a bit away from that to another what I would call some revolutionary innovations in the law, which is for the first time the recognition of technology.
Yes.
Playing particular roles that technology will play in the election, accreditation, and even a database. For voters database. So I want you've taken us through, you've introduced us into the issue, what the law now says. I want to, we cannot rule out the fact that after this election, there will be an election petition. You have even justified that is something that we should be happy about. So I want to ask you, how is this different? What we have now, as we go, we do the election on Saturday, and we expect election petitions to roll out from it. How the legal ramification of election petitions, how are they going to change? How have they changed, or how will they change from what we used to have, say, in the 2019 election cycle?
Yes. The way they're going to change is going to be a little bit more streamlined now.
Okay.
Section 28 talks about electronic transmission, which I just mentioned sometimes. Electronic transmission. This moves from the polling unit, using the beavers and all the rest of them. I'm moving it straight to the central body, where the computer on its own adds up and the results start coming crystal clear. You remember what happened in 1992, the Abiola election. Look, SDP was able to know from the polling units, from gathering the results of the polling units, what is the nature of results that was coming up between SDP and those NRC. The result was almost known, because after the lining up behind, all you need to do, add it up, from plus this is no longer there.
Okay.
Because the result is scientific, is electronic. The addition is electronic, it's not manual. So, secondly, if you look at Section 13, Section 13 talks about Central Electronic Voters Database.
Yeah.
This has not been done. It has not been done. But with this now, you saw sometime about 3 months ago or so, INEC brought out the total database,
Yes.
and exposed it to all the citizens. This has not been done before. And then from there, citizens were able to point out, no, this center, this polling unit, this area doesn't have this type of number. Oh, that is underage voters listed. That is this, that is that. And these were milled out. All the complaints against the voters, the purported voters, registered voters in that central district, they were x-rayed and they were milled out. And I think INEC said about 5.5 million were milled out. So, but that's not been done before.
So, sir, before you go on, I remember in 2019, we were part of Abubakar Atiku's legal team at the election petition, the presidential tribunal.
Yes.
Yes, so there was this so much talk about database then. Database having the authentic result of the election.
Yes, database and all that. You talk about smart card reader. But then but then the smart card reader.
Okay.
The law said you use it if you want. And INEC said at that time, we didn't use it. We were saying, no, you use the smart card reader. But INEC said, no, we didn't use it. Whether they used it during the election and decided to deny they didn't use it is a different ballgame.
Okay.
So that one, the court has taken care of it. What we are saying now is the smart card reader is part of our law now.
Okay.
So it's not the issue of I want to use it or I don't want to use it.
Okay. So you are suggesting that the law will suggest will change a lot about how election petitions will be fought in court.
A lot. Because now smart card reader have become part and parcel of our law. You will no longer be saying you will be using voters register. Before, the court have been relying on voters register. And voters register was full of manipulation because you wouldn't know when it is those that came and those that didn't come. But with the smart card reader, it is only those that have come to the polling unit that were accredited and all that will be part of the part and parcel of the process.
Okay, sir. I know it's still subjudice anyway, but I'm talking about this Osun election. Tribunal recently gave a judgment concerning it. Is there any lesson that we can draw from that judgment?
Let me get to that.
The Osun governorship election.
Yes.
It was recently decided by the election petition tribunal.
Yes.
And I'm sure this issue of technology, smart card reader, results, overvoting issue, all of them came up in that election, in that judgment. I'm asking you if there are lessons you feel INEC and even politicians can draw, or all of us as citizens can draw from that judgment.
The much I think we would draw from that is that subtle argument of where there is overvoting, the result to be cancelled. I'm not yet too sure about that.
Okay.
And I may not like to speak on that because that's a point of argument in the appeal tribunal.
All right.
Because, but the question now will be, what if your enemy goes to overvote in your stronghold? What do you do? Your enemy goes to make sure that the polling unit where you are sure to win very well, there's overvoting there, and it is cancelled. And so all this nitty-gritty need to be sorted out by the courts. Yes.
All right, I'll take you on another issue, which is also something that gives a lot of Nigerians, and I mean friends of Nigeria who want Nigeria to conduct credible elections. The issue of electoral offenses, and one of the major ones that gives everybody concerns is this issue of vote buying. Do you think the law has adequately addressed the issue, and Nigerians can have the assurance that we'll see less of it in this election?
Vote buying is worse than stealing billions of naira from our treasury. Vote buying denies Nigerians of credible leaders. No person worth his salt would be going to bribe to a voter in order to put him in an office. Because if you're sure of your credibility, it will speak for itself.
Okay.
And oftentimes, credible people, like gentlemen like you, may not have the wherewithal to keep on buying these votes.
Okay, sure.
In that wise, the good services you would have given to your country will be denied of services. And another person who is out for business, who brings out money to invest in vote buying, and would like to illegally reward himself by putting hand in the tilt and running the government in any manner he wants. That's the scenario we come to. So, any effort to frustrate vote buying is worth it.
Okay.
Because, of course, the law has been done, and there's need to now implement it to the latest, to the last point, because we must get our bearing. Yes, you see, as we said, the electoral law is moving up gradually. So we will also be implementing some of these offenses to make sure that, they don't become part and parcel of.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we'll take a short break now. We'll see how the learned senior advocate of Nigeria with us. So we'll take a short break. In minutes, we'll be back here.
Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. See the money. Look at it. Officer, look at it. Hold it.
I'll give you 1,000 to vote for my candidate. No, take 200 to vote for my candidate. No, I have 5,000 naira for you to vote for my candidate. I'll give you a wrapper. No, take a bag of rice to vote for my candidate. My name is Chamaka Okafor, and today we'll be discussing with the residents of Abuja about the concept of vote buying, which we see at every elections and during election season. We also will be discussing with them what can be done to stop this menace of vote buying in Nigeria. I hope you won't take 1,000 naira to sell your vote.
There's those people that collected that, those people that doesn't have something doing, that doesn't have business, work, then they will go and collect like 2,000, 1,500 for them to vote for people, you understand? I normally used to encourage them about let them stop collecting money. If they want to vote the person they like, they can vote for him. It's not by money. Even though they give you 100,000, it will finish, you understand? But if you use your mind and vote the person that you want, it's good.
You take care of, you find you do something about poverty. It's poverty. It has nothing to do with lacking what you are going to eat or what you are going to drink. It is a state of mind. Why do I have to compromise what my principle because of peanuts? The question is, how can people stand that test of time? Test of time. Can people be reasonable for once? I am not going to take money from this person. You must do the right thing.
We really need a change in structure. We need a revolution. We don't need the use of political parties to run democracy.
What do you advocate?
Independent candidacies. There will be no room for that because there is concentration of candidates on the people. Are you getting me? The people we know whom they are going to vote for. and the pattern is going to change automatically. That's why we said we need a change in structure. There will be no room for lobbying or vote buying or sort of things in the election process.
I thank God for the present president signing the electoral law. I think this electoral law will go in a long way to curtail some certain anomalies that rises during the voting period. You see, so this time around, if somebody starts buying votes, that person should do it in his own detriment, because it is not going to work per se.
It depends. You can't stop vote buying now. Even in the US, people still buy votes, but it depends on how you buy the votes. Our own is that we do it in a very crude manner. We do it so much so that everybody knows that we are buying votes. But even the advanced countries, the advanced democracies, people still buy votes.
So
but it depends.
You personally encourage that?
How can, no, it's not, you can't encourage it. But obviously you can't stop it. The only thing you do is stop it to the barest minimum level.
Stopping something that is bad, you can't stop it generally. But I think it can be reduced to the minimal. And the only way it can be reduced to the minimal is orientation. We have seen so many instances where they sell the vote truly, and when they enter, they will not give it back to you. And you can't talk because they bought you already. So I think those orientations need to come, and Nigerians need to understand that. So gradually we'll be reducing vote buying.
It's very rampant now, people are doing it.
So you support it?
I didn't support it. It's very wrong. I didn't support that. Where me, in my own opinion, corruption in Nigeria, it can't stop easy like that. It takes discipline to stop corruption.
Anybody that gives you money collect, because you look at the face of the people, very tattered, ugly, they can't even rub cream, they look so haggard. You see poverty. I don't know if I don't know if you understand. Just take a look, you zoom your camera around. You will see hunger, you will see frustration, you see anger. If you find anybody trouble, they are ready to choke you knife. They are ready. And for buying of this thing, what do you call it, a vote buy? It's very, that is the only way you can get that government money they are stolen. I know you share the billions of money they are stealing. Every day stealing billions of money. Every day stealing billions of money.
How can we discourage vote buying?
See, for now, in a dead nation, people are looking for survivor. People are looking for survivor. See, if they give you money now, you should eat it, because the people there are.
Okay, welcome back, our viewers and listeners, wherever you are. I still have with me a former Attorney General of Imo State, Mr. Chukwuma Chukwu Ume. He's also a senior advocate of Nigeria. In the last 20 minutes or so, he has been helping us to understand the legal issues concerning this election. So we'll have less than 3 minutes more. I would like you to wrap up on this thought, or your take on this, because people have expressed apprehension about the likelihood of having a second and even probably third ballot in this election. And a lot of people are concerned that it could lead to constitutional crisis and a lot of such issues. What's your take on this? Are you also apprehensive about it?
I cannot be apprehensive about it, because the law was not apprehensive about it. The law didn't blind itself about it. The law is aware that there could be a situation of that nature and has streamlined the way it's going to be done. Okay. Section 134 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria stated how a presidential candidate can be declared as a winner. First, they must have a majority vote of the majority of lawful votes. Majority of lawful votes. What is the meaning of majority is left to some other thing. But if you ask for the dictionary meaning of majority, it is more than 50. More than 50 is the meaning of majority. But that's not all. The Constitution went ahead to say you must also score 1/4 of votes of 2/3 of the states of the Federation. 2/3 of the Federation is 24.
Okay.
Not only you will win a majority of lawful votes, you will also win 1/4 of votes in 24 states. If you win or maybe 80 in another state to make up to build a majority vote, that's okay. But the most important thing is that you must show acceptability in 24 states of the federation. For you to have the constituency, Nigeria as a constituency, if you are just elected by one state, then it means you're not a president.
But the frame, if you look at it,
so that one, where two people were not able to, nobody was able to score that. Then the law went on to what you call round 2, which said INEC must, within 7 days after declaration of the first results, within 7 days, INEC has to now conduct another election for 2 people. Who are these 2 people? First, the one with the highest number of votes but did not meet up the 2/3, 1/4 of the 2/3. You now come to other candidates and look for among those who has the highest number in the highest number of states. These are constitutional provision, and I don't think there's the INEC result we state is that who won the highest vote in the highest number of states. This time, because you didn't meet 2/3 states, then it is the highest number of the list. These are the people that you go for.
So if I get you right, what you are saying is that, so in the second ballot, the first person, 2 persons are going to participate in the second ballot.
Yes.
Number 1, the person who has the highest overall votes. Then the second one, you select among the rest, the one who has the highest vote in most number of states. Okay. So even if I'm participating in this election and I have the highest among maybe the rest of the candidates, I have the highest vote maybe in two or three states, and there are others who have highest votes. Maybe their overall votes are not as much as mine, but they have more votes. They have majority votes in more states.
Majority votes
they would dislodge me.
In majorities in more states is the issue, because of acceptability.
Okay.
The issue of spread.
So why did the law give different standards for the number 1 and the number 2?
Number 1, because of course he's already there. He's already the highest person. So,
but it wasn't so. The candidate is not subjected to that aspect. That says
that must, since he didn't meet up the constitutional provision, you can't declare him a president. So you have to bring in somebody for him to, and if you don't bring another person, it means that there will be no 2 persons.
Well, thank you. So
I think that is the issue.
Thank you so much, NSC. I know this conversation can never end.
Thank you.
So while the election is going on, we'll still continue this conversation, and even after the election, we'll continue.
Thank you.
So we thank you for sparing time with us, and we benefited so much from your legal explanation that you've offered us. Thank you so much. So yes. So we'll have just wrapped up the first segment of this interview. We are bringing another legal luminary who is equally a former Attorney General of Bayelsa State.
Hi, welcome to Premium Times Election Special. I'm Titi Lokwe Fadari,
a senior advocate of Nigeria.
Hi, welcome to Premium Times Election Special. I'm Titi Lokwe Fadari. On this show, we bring to you interesting issues surrounding the 2023 general elections, from unique perspectives to fact checks, explainers, analyses, everything you need to know about the polls before, during, and after. But before we go into the main segment, I'll share with you some trending political stories making the rounds in the country. This morning, the Supreme Court resumed sitting on the Naira redesign suit. It's the court's first sitting since President Muhammadu Buhari violated the court's 8 February order for the continued use of the old 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira banknotes. A 7-member panel of the court had ordered that the 10 February deadline set for the ending of the validity of the old banknotes be suspended. Before the end of today, we'll update you on the ruling from the Supreme Court. The next political story is an interview Premium Times had with the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator Matthias Schmale, where he shared his concerns about the 2023 general elections. His concerns include violence across the country, access to cash, hate speech from political parties and their followers, and a level playing field due to allegations that those in power do not provide public institutions for opposition candidates. He said the UN office is providing INEC with technical support and meeting all the key candidates of political parties to impress on them the importance of conducting themselves in a way that will lead to a peaceful, credible, inclusive, and transparent elections. Lastly, the National Security Advisor to the President, Babagana Monguno, has warned against plots to exploit the current socio-economic situation in Nigeria to ignite civil unrest before, during, and after the general elections. Consequently, the Nigerian Army released hotlines to Nigerians to report any suspicious acts of violence by unscrupulous persons during the forthcoming general election. Visit our website www.premiumtimesedu.com to get the details of the hotlines in your state. Up next is my colleague, Mr. Ade.
Okay.
This is Premium Times Election Special.
Okay, welcome back. I'm not joined by also another legal luminary, the former Attorney General, Commissioner for Justice, Bayelsa State, and also a senior advocate of Nigeria and a former national legal advisor of the Nigeria Bar Association. So, Mr. Wodu, welcome. Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us. So we go straight to the issue, and I'm going to take you on where we stopped with your learned brother. It's about this Section 134, and it's an issue you have expressed public opinion about, and you are passionate about it. Can you take us through what it is and what is concerning about it?
All right. Good afternoon, viewers and my colleague lawyer.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Section 134 of the Constitution is not clear in certain respects. It regulates the conduct of presidential elections, and my learned brother Silk has explained the substantial part of it, which I agree with him to the extent that for a person to be declared the winner of a presidential election, the person must have majority of votes cast, 1. 2, the person must have 1/4 of the votes in 2/3 of the
That's
states.
24 states.
And then 3, the person must have 1/4 of the votes in Abuja.
Okay.
So any person that doesn't have 1/4 of the votes in Abuja cannot be declared winner. If no person meets all those conditions, there will be a second election. The Constitution in Section 134(3) calls it a second election. They call it runoff, they call it by different names, but the Constitution says second election and third election. And where there's no winner in the first election, the second election will be conducted.
And there's no one who met any of the 3 conditions.
Yes, these 3 conditions. That's for somebody to be declared a winner, he must meet these 3 conditions, including having 1/4 of the votes in Abuja. That's the FCT. So if none of the candidates meets these conditions, there will be a second election. And that second election will have 2 candidates.
Okay.
The first candidate, as my learned brother explained, is the person with the majority of votes cast, the highest number of votes cast in the election. And then the second candidate will be the person with majority of votes in the highest number of states, which was explained. That is, in terms of choosing that candidate, priority is not given to the total, that's the overall number of votes scored by the candidates.
Okay.
Priority is given to the spread, such that the person who may become second in the overall votes may not be chosen as a second candidate in the election if somebody else has majority of votes in highest number of states. What that means simply is this: in state A, this computation excludes the first candidate, the person that has been chosen as the first candidate amongst the remaining candidates. Okay, in state A, somebody got the highest number of votes.
Okay.
State B got the highest number of votes. Let's say he has 15 in 15 states. He got the highest number of votes. Then another person, others got maybe highest number of votes in fewer states, they may even have higher votes than him. It's that person who has the highest number of the majority of votes in the highest number of states that will be declared the winner. But there's something else again. It says where the same section 134(3) says the first instance is the person with majority of votes in the highest number of states. Then it goes further to say where two or more persons, more of the candidates, have majority of votes in the highest number of states. That is, there's a tie.
Okay.
Then the second scenario is that the person with the overall the highest number of votes, excluding the first candidate, will become the second candidate,
Okay.
which is confusing. Yes. And can there be tie? Yes, it's a possibility. Why is that a possibility? Is because, like the example I gave, let's say candidate A has highest number of votes in 12 states. Candidate B also has highest number of votes in another 12 states.
Okay.
We have 36 states.
Yes.
So as they all have highest number of votes in 12 states each.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a tie. And this has no relationship with the number of votes that they scored, the overall number of votes.
Okay. That each of them scored.
Each of them scored is not.
It's about the number of states where they've had the highest number of votes.
Highest number of votes.
Okay.
So in that situation,
that's for the second candidate in the second ballot.
That second candidate issue is a very delicate issue, and INEC has already misfired, and I will explain where they have misfired after explaining this. After I finish explaining this part.
All right.
So where there's a tie in respect of the candidates with majority of votes in highest number of states, which excludes the first candidate, yes. Then the person with the highest number of votes, as excluding the first candidate, will now become the second candidate. In the first place, this person was not considered. Let's say candidate A got 50 million votes. He became automatically the first candidate in the second election. Yes. Candidate B scored 40 million votes. And then candidate C scored maybe 30 million. Candidate D scored maybe 25 million. And maybe the second candidate that scored 40 million does not have spread.
Okay.
So in the first exercise, it will be excluded. They will not consider that man who became second in the election if he does not have the spread, yes, in terms of majority of votes in the highest number of states. Then, if there's a tie among the remaining candidates in terms of having majority of votes in the highest number of states, they now come back to him again. He becomes the second candidate. It's too complex. Okay. And Nigerians will not even understand that the person who got the second highest number of votes cannot be made the second candidate. They will understand this type of computation. So in fact, in interview I granted before, I called for amendment of that provision.
Okay, so before we get to that stage, let's start from the beginning, which is, I think I put the same question to your learned brother earlier, which is the two standards that appear, that the constitution appears to have subjected the candidates to. Is there any reason why the spread was not necessary, or it's not made to be necessary for the first candidate in the second ballot?
I proposed, because I too have felt there's some kind of unfairness or injustice in that proceeding. So the amendment I proposed is to make the second candidate the person with the second highest number of votes, simplicity. So why would you subject one to spread and the other one highest number of votes? Make it equal. Just simple. Highest number of votes.
Yes. So how do we proceed if this situation that you have painted? How do we proceed? We find ourselves in such situation.
Truly apprehensive, because INEC itself has misunderstood this provision. In paragraph 64 of its guidelines and regulations for this election, yes, it has stated that there will be a runoff election, a runoff presidential election, if two or more candidates have the highest equal number of votes. And that's not what Section 134 is saying.
Constitution saying.
Of the Constitution is saying. They follow, there's a provision close to that in the Electoral Act, which they produced and added presidential election in the guidelines and regulations.
Okay.
So they have misunderstood the provisions. So that gives you a pointer to what they are likely to do. And we're in trouble if that occurs.
So we should better pray that the first ballot would decide the president of Nigeria.
Yes, that's what.
But you were proposing constitutional amendments. Do you think it's something that is realizable within the short period of time that we have? I mean, the election is coming up in 2 days.
No, now it's not possible. 2 weeks ago, it was possible. If they saw this reality 2 weeks ago, it was possible. They could have just called themselves together, President, National Assembly, the presidential candidates. They don't feel they will win in the first ballot, so they don't see it as a problem. But it's a big problem should any of they call it Independent Electoral Commission of South Africa to approach the courts, I think the Electoral Court, for interpretation of provisions of the law that they are unsure of that regulates the elections.
Okay.
And I have also proposed that we need that type of provision in our laws. That is, in this particular case, straight to the Supreme Court, because the Constitution allows the National Assembly to add to the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, not the appellate jurisdiction, the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. So, and they have already done that when they passed the National Assembly, when they passed the Supreme Court Original Jurisdiction Act, where the National Assembly to have access directly to the Supreme Court. So what they need to do is to amend that act, or even to insert a provision in the Electoral Act that enables, that first gives jurisdiction to the Supreme Court to entertain such issues and gives rights to INEC to make such presentations before the Supreme Court. And with that interpretation, everything is solved.
Unfortunately, there is no time for all of this.
Of next election.
Yes. So what do you foresee happens after this election if we go on and this scenario you painted now crops up? It seems to be having some unusual legal contest in our courts after the elections. Should these things play out as we have just said?
My concern is not the legal contestations, the legal challenges, because the courts are there. It will end up in the Supreme Court. It starts in Court of Appeal, presidential election. It starts in Court of the Supreme Court. That's not the problem. But the problem is the reaction of the people.
Yes.
Let's assume, for instance, that somebody from the north maybe is the second candidate, maybe, and that's the person with the second highest number of votes. And then somebody from another place is the person with the highest number of votes. And then they now assume that the second person with the second highest number of votes should be the second candidate, and you exclude that person, there could be crisis. And if it's in the West, somebody like that is excluded, there could be crisis. In the East, so there could be crisis. So it's the reaction of the people. The people will not understand that the person who got the second highest number of votes is not made the second candidate in that election.
I can imagine.
Already saw we're talking. Court is a simple matter. Just go to court and to determine. But by the grace of God, I think we'll pass this stage.
I hope so. So you've also, let's move away from this a little bit and let's go to the law concerning the voting itself. You pointed out in your opinions about you've also faulted another aspect of INEC's regulation, which is about the recognition they still accord to manual accreditation, despite clear provision of the law on the use of BIVAS or any technological device for accreditation. So what are your concerns? Is the manual accreditation not like something like a backup, or what? I mean, what wrong does it have for the election, for the accreditation process?
All right, thank you, sir. We used to have manual accreditation where the voters register was used, where they would check and if the name corresponds, the number corresponds, they tick, and people were manipulating the documents, the voters register. Everybody was tired of it. Okay, let us abolish it and use electronic technological device for accreditation.
Yes.
So the National Assembly accordingly made that law, which is the 2002 Electoral Act, where manual accreditation was abolished. And it is accreditation by means of a smart card reader or a technological device was introduced. And INEC, as the technological device, introduced BIVAS, which it has used in one of two elections before.
Last of which was also.
So INEC is clearly wrong. Think back to manual accreditation in its guidelines, in paragraphs, what are those paragraphs? Paragraphs 19E, 2 and 3 of the guidelines of the INEC guidelines. They have stated that after accreditation has been done on the BIVAS, the candidate will still go to another APO 1 or 2, who will now check through the voters register, confirm that the person is the real person, confirm his picture, his number, all those things, and then tick. That wastes a lot of time. Can you imagine a situation where election will be conducted into the night because of that delay? It can take 15 minutes or 20 minutes to do accreditation. That's this manual accreditation.
All right.
Since it's been abolished, it's of no practical use. It cannot even be used in courts. Because in what are you bringing it for? The law says you should use manual accreditation by means of the hard copy of voters register. It's not there. So you can't tender it.
Okay.
So if they, because of that, they do election till night and have problems with collation, well, they will still collate, even though the results will be transmitted through their electronic device. But the hard copies will still be taken, all of them will still go to a collation center. There are various levels of collation.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Lastly, I think I will also need, because like I've asked your colleague, do you think our courts or the prosecutorial system that we have are strong enough or effective enough to handle many forms of electoral offenses that will envisage to happen in this election? Because some people have suggested that there should be electoral offenses tribunal. What's your thoughts on all of this?
I don't think that we have been very serious with electoral offenses, because the number of persons that have been prosecuted up to now is so few. Very few persons have been prosecuted. We are not serious about it. I made when the National Assembly was considering amendment of the Constitution, I made serious proposals with respect to the creation of electoral courts, because our court system, the regular court system, has been clogged up by these electoral cases.
Yes.
Pre-election, post-election. Once the season comes, they don't do anything again.
Definitely.
So I proposed the establishment of a parallel electoral court system, which will comprise the Electoral High Court, Electoral Appeals Court, and Electoral Supreme Court. With the Electoral High Court having jurisdiction apart from pre-election and election petition cases, the original jurisdiction with respect to electoral offenses. And I did not make any proposal for the establishment of an electoral offenses tribunal or commission, as they say, electoral offenses commission. It's bogus. But I made provision for a situation where a political party or its candidates in an election can initiate criminal prosecution. That is, if the political party or the candidate shows before the court a prima facie case that an offense has been committed, then we can approach the court. So that way, it don't depend on anybody. If a political party is aggrieved, someone has committed an offense and won election by means of a criminal and electoral offense, they will go to the court, gather their evidence, and present it to the court, the Electoral High Court. And look, we have a prima facie case. There's evidence here to enable us to prosecute this person. Grant us leave to prosecute. So we don't need any electoral offenses commission. Now, the another focus to establish it, it must have branches in all states of the federation. Not even that, even in local governments. I don't think we have funds for that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wadu, former Attorney General of Bayelsa State and former National Legal Advisor of the Nigerian Bar Association. Unfortunately, we can't go further. We've already run out of time. But join us again tomorrow at 4 p.m. on all our social media handles. This is a Premium Times Election Special. Thank you, Mr. Wadu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
That was